Do you mind? So, because I've had chronic fatigue myself, I know listening to someone can be tiring. And I want to say a little bit about nervous system regulation and yoga philosophy before we start. So, I'm going to try to keep it short, but if you need to zone out, please do so. Because I think when I was there, one of the worst things I found was listening or even trying to talk because my brain fog was so bad. So, I'll try really hard not to give you brain fog. So, I just want to start by saying that the purpose of yoga is to see reality clearly, to see things as they are. And for that, we need a calm and peaceful mind. And I think we would all agree that to be calm and to be peaceful is something that we all want. I don't necessarily want happiness. I don't want to go out to loud parties or have lots of clothes. I just want to have inner peace. And I think most of us at this point in our illness or lives might agree that that's a good thing to aim for. Now, yoga says that we have a lens or a filter through which we see the world. And the Sanskrit word for that is 𝐂𝐓. And what we want to do is to start to remove the 𝐂𝐓 and to see clearly. And a big part of our 𝐂𝐓 or our filter is how our nervous system is. So I'm just going to put this into yoga philosophy very simply. So in yoga philosophy, there's something called the gunas, and these are considered to be the 3 states of being that make up all of the world, the seen and the unseen. And these actually equate to polyvagal theory, but I'm not going to go into that today. But I just want to explain to you a little bit about the gunas, because it's a really nice model to work with. And when you're not in the class, you can also be using this. So the first state is tamas. And tamas is that heavy, depressed feeling. You might have it when you first wake up, where you feel quite slow, you feel disengaged, you don't feel like you're really here. That's called a state of tamas, dark, heavy energy. Now we need some of that energy to relax and to sleep. So none of these are bad. It's all about being in balance. These are in my book, if anyone's interested, Yoga Therapy for Stress, Burnout and Chronic Fatigue Syndrome. I've done a whole chapter on them. The next state, which I suspect most of you will be more familiar with, and I certainly was when I was ill, is rajas. So rajas is that wired feeling when everything is quite speedy. And I used to refer to it as being tired but wired. So I would be exhausted, but my thoughts would be running really fast and I couldn't shut my mind up. And my body would feel really ill and tired, but my mind would be going so fast I couldn't sleep. So that's rajas. And quite a lot of yoga philosophers think that the Western world or the modern world is in a state of rajas at the moment, because this isn't just about our bodies and our minds. It applies to everything. So that kind of speeding up, I've got to push through, I've got to do the next thing, I've got to do the next thing, I can't stop to rest. That's when we're under the illusion of rajas. And then the third state that we want to aim for, it's again, it's got its equivalent in polyvagal theory, is called sattva. And this is when we feel very connected, we're in the moment, we're in the flow, we feel safe, we feel connected to other people, we feel happy, and we feel joyful. And feeling safe is a big part of being sattvic. So that those 3 states, I think, explain, yoga philosophy often so beautifully explains how we are and what we are very well. Now, I just said that there's no bad parts there. Everything's okay. The gunas are always changing. They're in a state of flux. So in the mornings, we want a bit of rajas to get us going. In the evening, we want a bit of tamas to relax. We want to be sattvic for a lot of the time. And we can manipulate all this. Again, this is in my previous book, not Breathe, Rest, Recover, but the one before that. But we can manipulate this with the food we eat, being in nature, the people we hang out with, if we're working, the kind of work we do. It's really important that we choose sattvic pursuits, sattvic food, sattvic hobbies. And as I say, this equates to regulating the nervous system. So the nervous system has 3 states, the tired but wired, the anxious, the pushing through, the feeling I can't stop, all that cortisol, dopamine, that equates to the sympathetic nervous system and is what so many in our modern living are now chronically living by. And then this becomes a lens. As I said in my email, you think you've got to keep pushing through, you've got to keep doing because that's what everybody else is doing, and you're slightly hyped up. I used to think it would feel like I drank too much coffee. The other state is known as dorsal vagal in polyvagal theory, or this is the tamasic feeling when you're completely disconnected and you shut down. And again, I used to quite often, if I found something overwhelming or triggering, I would just shut down and shut it out because I couldn't cope. And then the last state is kind of the balance between those 2 states, a parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest, when we feel calm and peaceful. And there are many ways we can play around with these states. But the point of a yoga practice, when it's run properly, is to come back to sattva, to engage the parasympathetic, that you're using that model, to be in ventral vagal tone, if you're using the polyvagal model, it's to come back to a more normal, relaxed state of being. But I've talked far too much. I do apologize. I want to again make the point, nothing is bad here. So in a minute, I'm going to ask you just to check in, to do the check-in. And if you think, oh, my mind's really speedy or I'm disengaged, it's okay, because we also want to learn to be with our dysregulation and not push anything away. Because when we go, oh no, my mind's too fast or I'm so stressed, we're just setting up more tension because in a way we're rejecting that part of ourselves, and we want to be compassionate to all our states. So let's just do a little bit of breathing before we come to lying, because I have talked too much and I do apologize. But just whether you're sitting or lying, just close your eyes if you're comfortable to do so. And let's just do the check-in, because this is so important. So notice, how am I? How am I? Without judging. And see if you can bring curiosity into that investigation. And then we're going to look at the different layers of being. So how is my physical body feeling at this moment? Is there pain or tension, fatigue? Can I be okay with that? Can I, maybe to say welcoming it in is too much for you at this moment, but can I at least maybe accept it? And then just examine the mind. Step back from your thoughts and watch them. And are your thoughts telling you a particular story, maybe about a situation that you're in at the moment, maybe about your health? Is this story running on a loop? It might be about a person or a circumstance. And don't try to stop the thinking, because that will just make it even louder. See if you can be with the mind as it is, but maybe seeing that it's not real, it's not true. These are thoughts which are always changing. And then see if you can find a little bit of spaciousness around the thoughts, maybe between the thoughts, or the 𝐂𝐻𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓 one is to watch for the next thought. Quite often that stops the mind. But just stepping back and seeing the thoughts are not real. They're just running in patterns. And now is your heart? Are your emotions? Is there a feeling maybe related to an emotion in your body that you can drop into the body and just become more aware of the feeling rather than thinking about it? And then start to observe your breathing. Again, no judgment, just curiosity. And actually, the biggest tool for nervous system regulation, there are lots of them, but the biggest one is the breath. So if you can, just begin to allow the breath to slow down. But don't force anything. If you need to force anything, come back to your normal breathing. And then we're going to do a breathing practice, which is really good for nervous system regulation. It's a quick hack, if you like, if ever you feel you need a bit of calmness. So we're going to take 2 sniffs of air through the nose, and then we're going to sigh the breath out. We're going to blow the breath out as if we're blowing through a straw. So I'll do it first, and then I invite you to do it 3 to 5 times. So sniff, 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 blow. So you try that in your own breathing rhythm 3 to 5 times. And then come back to normal breathing. And if you're sitting, take a moment or two to think about your posture, because this is incredibly important to our well-being. It affects how we breathe, and it affects all the organs in the body. And of course, when we're tired and fatigued, we tend to hunch over, protecting our heart. But we need to, and I'm going to cover this in my new class, Transition to Recovery, we need to open up more, have a bit more movement around the spine. So just for now, think about lifting without tension, opening the heart, releasing the shoulders away from the ears. And imagine the spine going from the back of the neck, the cranium, down to the tailbone. And just imagine that becoming spacious. So you're not creating tension in it, you're just kind of imagining space. Imagine space in the body, the front of the body and the spine. And then space between the crown of the head and the tailbone. And then have a sense of everything slowing down and softening. Releasing around the jaw. Releasing around the eyes. And then we're going to do our humming because it has so many benefits. So I'll start and then you join in your own breathing rhythm and your own pitch. So we breathe in through the nose, humming out the breath. So 3 to 5 times in your own rhythm and your own pitch. And then coming back to normal breathing. Just engaging with your body, feeling your awareness drop into your body. And if you're sitting, feel your hips on your support. If you're lying, just feel that the back is on your support. Again, just check in. How am I? Mind, emotions, body, breath, even spirit. If you think, well, what does Fiona mean by spirit? Just becoming quiet now and noticing the spaciousness, the pauses after the exhalation or between the thoughts. Beginning to observe silence. Because this is how we regulate our nervous system. We can become quiet. We make quiet times during the day. And rather than chasing health or work or money, the only thing we should chase is peace. And peace is always there when we stop and become still. So with that said, if you're sitting, please come down to lying. And remember, you can lie on a bed if you're not already. You can lie on a sofa or you can lie on the floor. But it's always a good idea to have something under your head to lengthen the back of the neck. And I usually suggest that you start with your knees bent just to support the back before everything starts to release. Just become aware of the weight of your body on your support. Become aware of your spine and the left and right sides of the body, releasing either side of the spine, softening into your support. Be aware of the weight of your head, and then very gently, slowly as you can, roll the head from side to side. Observe if the neck feels different on one side to the other, but make this observation without judgment. And then centering the head. Again, this idea of softening, feel on every exhalation, your body is releasing more and more into your support. So for now, just focus on the out breath, the exhale. And if you can, let it be long and smooth. The exhale is the releasing breath, the energy of apana in Sanskrit. So let that breath help you to release on every exhale. You've nowhere to go, nothing to think about, just being here now. If the mind wanders, bring it back to the breath or into the body. And again, just observe your state of being. So we've already done a little bit of breathing. Just observe how that's affected your nervous system. And maybe it hasn't, and that's fine too. But again, this question, how am I in all the different layers of my being? Just observe, staying in the body, no judgments, lots of compassion, allowing everything to be as it is. And then we're going to do a little bit of gentle movement before we do our yoga nidra. So if you like, you can stretch out, pushing out one heel, then the other. So the legs are long and apart, or if you've got back issues, keep the knees bent and maybe touch the knees together because that's less tiring. And then bring the feet together. We're going to do a little bit of chanting, if you like. This is optional, as everything is. So have the hands down beside the hips, palms down. And you're going to inhale and lift the arms up and behind you. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Maybe the back of the hands touch the floor, maybe they don't, that's fine. And then we're going to chant Om Apana Namaha. So this is a chant about releasing and letting go. Inhaling again, lifting up, shoulders relaxed. Om Apana Namaha. If you don't want to chant, just do the breath or the movement. Do that 3 to 5 times in your own breathing rhythm, resting out when you need to, listening to your energy levels. So don't push. If you're still moving, make this your last one and then rest. And then when you're ready, hug the knees into the chest, rocking out the spine from side to side. Leaving the knees over the belly, drop the hands down beside you, palms down beside the hips. And we're just going to do a little bit of gentle leg raising. If this is too much for you, don't do it. So don't push. Remember, we all have different energy levels and I'm not in your body. But if you would like to, just gently lift the right leg up. Exhale and bend it back in. And then do that to the left. Breathe in, lift up the left leg. Breathe out and come back. And do that once or twice more on each side. Just enjoying the feeling of moving a little. Don't do too many. Keep listening to your energy levels. And then when you're ready, bring the feet back to the floor, hip width apart. We're going to do some very, very gentle twisting, if you would like. Now, if you want to do this more dynamically, you keep the knees bent in, but if you want to do it gently, have the feet together and the feet on the floor, knees are bent, and take the arms out like a cross. The palms can be down or up, it doesn't matter. And we're just gently going to rock from side to side before we go into the full twist. So just start by gently rocking the knees side to side. Don't worry about the breath yet, and don't come all the way down. But keep the shoulders aligned on your support. And then next time the knees come down to the right, see if you can take the knees all the way down and stay there, rolling the head to look over the left shoulder. If you need to place padding under the knees, please do so. And just relax into the twist. Enjoy that twisting motion. And again, like we did before, feel that the out breath is your breath of letting go, apana, letting go on every exhalation. Let yourself soften into the posture. And then on an inhale, center the head, center the knees. Take a moment or two just to recalibrate, maybe look up at your belly button to see if you've twisted, just keeping yourself in your body, in the moment. And then when you're ready, take that to the other side. Rest into the twist, letting each exhalation take you deeper and deeper into the posture. And maybe observe it feels different on this side from the other. So without comparing as such, it's just a curiosity. Just think what's different, or maybe there is no difference, but just observe how your body is. And then when you're ready, inhale and draw one knee, then the other into the chest, rocking out the spine from side to side. So when we're talking about nervous system regulation, rocking movements are really good for regulating the nervous system, helping to bring us back to sattva, helping those parasympathetic division of the body to engage. And interestingly, when we want to engage the parasympathetics and come out of the nervous system, out of the sympathetic nervous system, we want to lengthen the out breath because that helps to engage the parasympathetics. And we're going to do one more movement now before we come down to rest. If you would like, if you'd rather rest out now, that's fine. Otherwise, drop your feet to your support. Have the feet about hip width apart, heels coming into the buttocks. Take away from anything under your head. Turn the palms down beside the hips. Just going to do a very gentle bridge posture, like the gentlest of back bends. Just helping to keep the spine mobile. So we'll do this with the breath. So become aware of the sensation under your hands and under your feet. And then when you're ready, inhale, pressing on the hands and the feet. Just lift the hips gently to come onto your shoulders. And then exhale and lower the spine. And if that was enough for you, rest out. Otherwise, you can try that once or twice more. And you can make that as dynamic as you want. You can come all the way up onto your shoulders, lifting the belly up to the ceiling, or you can just rest out. So the clue is to listen to your body, not me. What does my body need? What would make me feel good, resting or moving? If you're still moving, make this your last, then hug the knees into the chest and again enjoy a nice rocking movement. Feeling that rocking soothing you. And then coming back to Shavasana, the relaxation posture, however that is for you. So classically, your arms are away from the body, palms up, legs out straight, wide apart. But you might prefer to have the knees bent or the palms on the belly, the palms down. So whatever helps you to feel more relaxed. And again, just tune in. How am I? Just observe that state of being again, the mind, body, the emotions. And as you become quieter, I've explained that that filter of the nervous system, the 𝐂𝐓, becomes clearer. When the mind is still and we're not thinking about something, often the answers to any problems arise spontaneously. And the trick is to not think, but to be still. So just see if you can encourage a state of stillness now, just by focusing on a long, smooth exhalation and the pause after the exhalation.